This video is on the Excel Formula Challenge 1, and this particular project wants you to create an Excel worksheet that can determine the place value of each digit in a number. So what you'll be doing is you'll be entering in a 7-digit number, and then you'll write a formula down here that will break apart the number and know what number goes in each place value. So here is an example of what you'll be doing. You'll set it up. There are directions tell you how to set it up. You'll put in a 7-digit number, and then on this row you'll have formulas, and the formulas will break up this number and know which one to put in each place value. So I can change this number. Again, it has to be a 7-digit number, and then you can see it writes the corresponding number to each place value. So if we go back to the directions, the first step in the directions is just typing. So in cell A1, it says to type the word numbers. So you can go up here, you can type in A1, and then you can type in numbers. In A4, it wants you to type millions, B4, hundred thousands, and so on. And you can see that's what I've done, millions, hundred thousands, all the way down to units. On step 2, it wants you to format where your number is going to be. It's in cell B1. It wants you to format that cell as a number. It does not want you to have decimals, but you must have commas. So if you're in the home ribbon and you're on this cell, you can set all the formatting here. You can see I have it as number. This is where you're going to deal with commas, and you'll also deal with decimals. Step 3, it says type in a number, and it's got to be a 7-digit number for the formulas to work. And then in step 4, it wants you to write a formula. Again, what the formula is going to do, it's going to look at the number and then know what number should go in the corresponding cell. So again, if I were to type in a different number, it knows, okay, well, this is where my 7 goes, this is where my 4 goes, and it will always change. So here we're going to write 7 formulas. So I have another worksheet set up, so it's not going to be exactly like your challenge, but it's going to be very similar. Rather than a number, I have a text, and the text I have is password, which happens to be one of the most common passwords. And we're going to use the exact same formula. So I set it up just like yours. Other than millions, I put first character, second character. So the first thing we're going to do, whenever we're writing an Excel formula, we're going to click in the cell where we want the answer. So I want a formula here, so I'm going to click in that cell. And then I'm going to type equals, because that tells Excel we're writing a formula. Now the formula you need is a mid formula, and you can see as I start typing, it pops up. And I'm going to click on it. Actually, I double clicked, and now it tells me all the parameters for this particular formula. So it says, okay, you're going to use the mid formula. Now text. What text are you going to look at that we're breaking apart? And I want the number, or I want the word password, so I'm going to click on it. And so just by clicking on the cell, it populates it. It says, okay, you're using cell B1. Now make sure you do a cell reference here rather than typing in password or typing in a number. We never hard code values. You always do a cell reference. So going back to the formula, it says, okay, choose your text and then put comma. Once I put comma, it goes on to my second parameter. And it says start num. And what it means by this is, where do you want to start in this text? Well, I want it to start on the very first character. So I'm going to put a 1. And then you can see the next thing it tells me to do is a comma. And once I hit comma, it goes to my third parameter. And it says, okay, how many characters do you want returned? And I only want 1 character. And I am going to, it tells me to close my parentheses, so I'm going to do a close paren and equal. And it returns P. And if we go back again, we're using the mid. I told it to go look at B1. I told it to start at the very first character, but if I had chosen 3, you can see it starts at 3. Here, if I told it to go only 1 character, or return to me only 1 character, but what if I said return to me 3 characters? and then I get the SSW. Okay, so but again, what I want for password is I want it to start at my first character, and I want it to go through only one character. And so that's right. I just wanted that P. Now, unfortunately, Excel is not smart enough. I can't use the field drag. I cannot drag it over. Even if I make this an absolute reference, it still won't work. It's not quite that smart. But I can still use it and then make adjustments, and that's what I'm going to do. Do not use my, okay, let's try that again. Okay. I was expecting it to stick with B1 and it didn't, but I'm going to change this. It said C1, I still want it to stick with B1. And I did, but here it's telling me the second character. So rather than starting with here, starting at my first, I'm going to have it start with my second. And I'm still going to have it only go over one character. And I'll hit enter. So now I have an A. And you can see it has a message for me. It's telling me it's an inconsistent formula because it's different than my first. It's not following a pattern. So I'm going to tell it to ignore. And rather than just continuing altering it, I'm just going to write new ones. I'm going to highlight and then tell it to clear contents. Now you can see all my formulas are gone. So I'm going to write this one more time. Again, I'm going to start with formula, so I'll click in the cell where I want my answer. I'll hit equal, tells Excel I'm writing a formula. For this particular project, you need a mid. So it starts typing it for me. I'm going to double click, and then it says, okay, what text? Again, I'm referring to my password. If I look at this, it tells me to reference my text and then put a comma, so I'll put a comma. It wants to know my start num. Here I want the third character, so I'm going to start with the third character. Comma, it moves me to my third parameter, and then it wants to know how many characters do I want to return, and I only want one character. It ends with a close paren, so I will do that, and I'll hit enter, and it brings back the S. It's the same thing, it's just I have to make just a few adjustments. And that's exactly what you want to do here. You're also going to use mid formula. Here you're going to start with the first character, return the first character. Here you're going to start with the second character, return one character. Just a few changes, just like I did. And that is pretty much the project. Let's make sure there's nothing else. I want you to label the worksheet as challenge 1. And you can see I've labeled this challenge 1. And then it asks a question. What happens if you have a number that is not 7 digits? Let's say you have a 6-digit number, because we're going to have a problem because our formula is not smart enough. So if I put in the 6-digit number, you can see it leaves out units. So the question to you is, can you fix that? Can you fix that issue? You know, I've done a few things. I've wrapped the mid formula in an if formula, and then I put a length formula in there, checking for length, and that worked. But maybe you can come up with a better solution than I did. Okay, so that's it for our very first challenge. I'm making another video, and that's going to be on challenge 2, where we have the parts, and then we had to put them all together. So it's doing the exact opposite of what we just did. So please email me if you have questions.